When I discovered that the $500,000 I had scraped together and borrowed had been reduced to just $250 in my bank account, I was completely stunned. I was about to call the police right then and there, but my wife immediately grabbed my phone and threw it on the floor, her face full of disdain as she said, "Stop overreacting. I sent the money to Makoto." I asked her angrily why she had sent money to her childhood friend. She replied, "Makoto's company is just starting out. He needs a good car to make a good impression. How else is he supposed to do business?" Then with a dismissive wave of her hand, she added, "And didn't you say before that your money is my money, so I can spend it however I want?" I stared at my wife, both familiar and unfamiliar to me, in that moment speechless, because that 500,000 was supposed to be her lifeline. Without the money, it wouldn't be me who died. It would be her. The next day was when I'd scheduled to visit the hospital with the doctor. I had to tell Willow about her terminal illness properly, but when I checked my balance through the app, I almost fainted. The balance that used to be 500,000 had turned into $250. My hands were trembling, and it took me a long time to come to my senses and think of calling the police. Just as I was about to do that, Willow came back home and walked into the bedroom to change clothes. She was startled by my pale face and asked, "George, who are you showing that face to?" Panicked, I said, "Honey, the money in the account is gone." Willow's expression flickered for a moment, but she quickly regained her composure. I continued, "No, there was 500,000 in there. I have to report this. Someone must have stolen it." Before I could finish my sentence, Willow, looking indifferent, interrupted me. "Don't make a big deal out of it. I took the money." I let out a breath of relief and said, "You need to transfer the money back. I have to go to the hospital today." Willow rolled her eyes and interrupted me again. "Give it back to you? Can't. It's already spent. I've used it all up." I knew Willow had a habit of spending money extravagantly, but I couldn't believe she could spend 500,000 in one day. With disbelief, I asked, "What did you spend 500,000 on in one day?" Willow was getting annoyed by my persistence, so she sighed and said, "Makoto's company just started, and he needs a nice car to make a good impression. How else is he supposed to do business? Besides, didn't you say before that your money is my money? I should be able to spend it however I want. Buying a car is a big deal for a man. If I don't support him now, I'll ruin his whole life. That 500,000 would just sit there useless. Giving it to Makoto is spending money wisely. Makoto even said I saved his life." Makoto? I felt my head spinning with anger, and a chill ran through my body. Grinding my teeth, I said, "Your childhood friend Makoto, you need to get the money back. This is serious. This is—" Before I could finish, Willow slapped me across the face. I stood frozen in place from the shock of the slap. Willow scolded, "What's your problem, huh? It's just 500,000. Is it really worth acting like this? Don't worry, Makoto's going to pay me back. Once his company is stable, not just 500,000, even 5 million will be nothing for him to return." She continued, "You think everyone's like you, throwing a fit over 500,000? Makoto's going to be the boss of a publicly traded company. If we weren't childhood friends like family, do you really think he'd need your 500,000? This is a form of investment. Do you get it?" I was speechless. 5 million? She was dreaming, and she believed it. Seems like the illness has taken its toll. I tried my best to control my emotions and spoke as calmly as I could. "No. 500,000, 5 million, or even 5 billion, none of that matters. You need to get the 500,000 back right now. It's really important. It's our lifeline." Willow rolled her eyes and said, "The money is already spent. Do you want me to lose face? Let me tell you, even if that 500,000 really is your lifeline, I'm not giving it back. Besides, your worthless life probably isn't even worth that much money." Damn. After hearing her say that, I actually became a bit calmer. Willow has always thought I'm incapable. There was a time when she wanted a handbag worth 100,000, but I couldn't bring myself to buy it for her. At that time, I was borrowing money and saving up for her medical bills, so I couldn't afford a small handbag worth $10,000, let alone $100,000. But now, Willow thought I had $500,000 saved up and refused to spend it on her. Now she was insulting me like this, making me look like a fool. Fine, if that's how it is, then so be it. But no matter what, the money shouldn't be given away for free. So I said, if you're not going, then I'll go ask for it myself. If he doesn't return it, I'll sue him. Let's see who wins. Willow completely ignored me and in fact got angry at me for being persistent. She said, "Are you out of your mind? If you go now, where am I supposed to put my face?" Willow stopped midway through her sentence, then continued, "I can go get the money, but Makoto lives far away from us. If I get the money, it'll be too late. I'll just have to stay at a nearby hotel for the night." Saying that, she hummed a tune and went back to her bedroom to pick out clothes. She added, "Don't call me tonight to bother me, okay?" I stood at the door watching Willow pick out clothes, holding up a dress to herself and comparing it to her body. After a while, she chose a black form-fitting dress. Then she casually grabbed a set of sexy lingerie and stockings. Just as she was about to put them on, she saw me still standing there at the door. With an annoyed look, she rolled her eyes and slammed the door shut. She said, "You're always staring at me like a pervert. It's disgusting." I looked at the closed bedroom door and sighed. In the 3 years I'd been married to Willow, our relationship had been stable. Though we weren't overly affectionate, we rarely had conflicts. But last year, after Willow's childhood friend Makoto divorced and came back to our hometown, everything changed after they reconnected. Willow started staying out all night, and we began fighting more and more. And every time I got upset, she would accuse me of being petty and having a dirty mind, insisting that she and Makoto were completely innocent. She would say, "If I had anything with Makoto, we would have already gotten married. It wouldn't have been your turn." I, being rather thick-skinned, thought there was some truth to what Willow said and didn't think too much of it. In fact, I even convinced myself that her recent behavior was because of her terminal illness, that her emotional instability was the cause. I just focused on gathering the funds for her surgery, hoping to use half of my liver to save her. Once she recovered, she would understand my good intentions, and we could live a good life together. But now, I had come to my senses. Willow wasn't behaving like this because of her illness. She simply liked Makoto and had grown to loathe me. After a while, Willow finished getting ready and came out. She wore the popular natural look makeup, and her figure was accentuated by the tight dress. Even if my mind was foggy, I could tell she wasn't going to ask for the money back. It was more like she was going out to deliver something. At that moment, I sighed deeply and said, "Willow, let's get a divorce." As I said that, I began contacting a lawyer to draft the divorce agreement. Right now, the only asset left in the house was a few $100s. As for whether Willow had any private assets, I had no idea. Then there was the house. This ancestral home was something my parents got with their retirement money, combined with my hard work. There was no way I was going to give it to Willow. As for whether Willow had any personal assets, I didn't know, and I didn't want to investigate. But at that moment, Willow didn't hear what I said about the divorce. After finishing her preparations, she walked straight out the door. I was left behind, staring at the divorce agreement I had just received in a daze. My eyes slowly filled with tears, and the divorce agreement in front of me became more and more blurry. I thought back on the 3 years we had been married. I considered myself a good husband, but she was no longer a good wife. As dawn broke, I had just fallen asleep, when I was awakened by a loud bang. The door slammed shut. Willow was back. She staggered in her high heels, her cheeks flushed, and the smell of alcohol was overwhelming even from a distance. The red marks on her neck were glaringly obvious. They were unmistakably hickeys. A sharp pain shot through my heart. My hands clenched tightly, and I could feel my bones creaking under the pressure. I sighed and shook my head. No longer wanting to argue with her, I said slowly, "Willow, let's get a divorce." This time, Willow heard me clearly. The stench of alcohol around her seemed to dissipate, and her awareness slowly returned. A look of disbelief spread across her face. I helplessly continued. I've already drafted the divorce agreement. It's on the table in the living room. You just need to sign it. After the initial shock, Willow frowned deeply, pointing at me and cursing. George, you're so petty. I really didn't misjudge you. It's just $500,000. What's the big deal? I looked at Willow coldly, my heart devoid of any emotion. I asked, 500,000? Don't you know where those hickeys on your neck came from? My tone was calm, but each word hit her like a hammer to her heart. Willow's face turned pale instantly. She opened her mouth, probably to say it was just mosquito bites, but no words came out. It seemed like she had finally realized. The problem between us went far beyond the 500,000. I spoke slowly. Willow, you've changed. You've become someone I don't recognize. I don't know what you've been doing outside, but I can't tolerate this life anymore. Let's get a divorce. It's better for both of us. I reaffirmed my decision and turned to leave the bathroom. Willow came out of the bathroom, grabbed the divorce agreement from the table, and looked at it with rage. Her face darkened with fury. She suddenly threw the agreement at my face and shouted, I didn't expect this from you. Fine, you want a divorce? This house is mine, and you'll leave with nothing. Hearing that, I felt a mixture of emotions. This house was bought with my parents' retirement savings, money they had worked so hard to save. If I gave it to Willow, she would definitely let Makoto move in. What would my parents, if they were still alive, think if they saw their hard-earned home being tainted by those two? Willow's words truly chilled me. All the money in the house had already been given to Makoto. Now she was demanding I leave with nothing. It was a far cry from the happiness we had when we got married. Now it felt like utter disgrace. I looked at Willow and said, This house must stay with me, and you must return that 500,000. Willow froze when she heard that. Her eyes darted around as if she was considering something. After a long pause, she changed her expression to one of false sweetness and said softly, George, I'll think about it. I need to consider the house and the money carefully. I sighed softly and shook my head in helplessness. I said, Fine, take your time and think it over. With that, I walked into the bedroom. Even though Willow and I lived under the same roof, we had been separated for a long time. Our only son was living with Willow's mother because we didn't have the time to take care of him. Since Willow liked Makoto so much, I was sure she would agree to the divorce. She would even be willing to leave the house to me if I insisted. I'm sure she must have already discussed it with that guy, but it's fine. I also need to find an opportunity to bring my son back and have a good talk with him. My son's relationship with Willow isn't exactly good. In fact, it can be described as being like strangers. Since he was born and after his first month, I've been the one taking care of him. If I hadn't witnessed the moment he was carried out of the delivery room, I wouldn't even believe the child was born by her. People always say that women are weak, but once they become mothers, they become strong. But with Willow, I don't see the slightest trace of maternal love. As expected, around 11 or 12 at night, I heard her talking and laughing with Makoto from the next room, which is Willow's bedroom. The sound insulation between the rooms isn't very good, so I could hear them clearly. Makoto, that guy, said, He wants a divorce. How great, Willow said. Makoto responded, A divorce? Really? So that means I can get you openly. Willow replied, But that man said he wants me to leave with nothing. The rest of their conversation got quieter, and I couldn't hear it clearly. But based on what I know about this Makoto, he's nothing but a leech, a phoenix man. He's only here for Willow's money. If Willow leaves with nothing, it's definitely not good for Makoto. In other words, he would never agree to it. If Willow leaves with nothing, then what's Makoto going to live on? Do you really think he loves Willow? He's just after the benefits Willow can provide. From what I've discussed with the lawyer, if it comes to a divorce lawsuit and we can prove Willow's infidelity, it would be very beneficial evidence for me. Willow would probably leave with nothing, The sounds from the next room kept stabbing at my heart. At this moment, Willow seemed like a horny cat being teased by Makoto, acting all dazed. Every now and then, her soft, coquettish voice could be heard. After all these years of marriage, I had never heard her act like this. I always thought she didn't like this, but it turns out I was wrong. It wasn't that she didn't like it. It was just that I wasn't the person she truly desired. Willow said, "Makoto, your kiss is so annoying, you've ruined my neck." Makoto responded, "Am I better or your husband?" Willow snorted coldly, "So annoying I already know. Why are you asking?" Her laugh, mixed with those long, coquettish sounds, felt like a sharp dagger. Each laugh, each sound, pierced through my remaining pride and self-respect, tearing it apart. My eyes were bloodshot, and I almost wanted to grab a knife and confront Makoto right then and there, but I knew that wouldn't be right. Impulse is the devil. Makoto wasn't worth me losing control. I want to repay them for all the hurt I've received. That entire night, I couldn't sleep. Pain and sorrow mixed together, and it made me decide to take revenge on them. To gather evidence of Willow's infidelity, I decided to take a leave from work and follow her. I made sure to dress carefully, wearing clothes that Willow had never seen me wear before. I put on a black baseball cap and a mask to avoid being recognized. I even rented a car to be extra cautious. Willow usually gets off work early, around 3 p.m., but since Makoto came back, she always comes home late. Whenever I asked her, she would always say, "Why do you care? You should spend that time earning money instead of just sitting at home." After asking her a few times, I stopped. I had never suspected Willow of cheating before because I always believed whatever she said. It wasn't because I was stupid, but because I trusted her too much. And the one who hurt me was the person I trusted the most. I slumped over the steering wheel, waiting for Willow to finish work. As her workday was about to end, a black Audi pulled up downstairs from Willow's company. The car had a brand new license plate, and its glossy black body gleamed under the sunlight. The cool wheels shone with a golden glint. I recognized the car. It was the latest model of Audi. I had spent several days browsing online, but unfortunately I didn't have enough money to buy it. All I could do was admire it. At that moment, Willow walked out of the company with her head lowered, looking shy. One of her female colleagues teased her, "Willow, your boyfriend's here again, picking you up in a new car." Willow waved her hand dismissively and said, "Stop joking, he's just a friend." The colleague laughed and said, "What kind of friend is that buying you a new car? You can't hide it from us, we can tell. This guy's so much better than your boyfriend." The colleague waved goodbye to Willow. Willow didn't argue, but instead had a satisfied look on her face. That's when I realized the one driving the black Audi was Makoto. Willow had said that she bought this new car for Makoto with $500,000. A sharp pain pierced my heart. I couldn't help but recall the countless hours I spent gathering money to pay for her cancer treatment. When I first learned Willow had cancer, I nearly went mad. Out of fear that she might give up on herself, I didn't tell her. Instead, I decided to secretly sell everything I had to raise money for her treatment. I even humbly borrowed money from relatives and friends, anyone I could find. I left no stone unturned. Any connection I had, I tried. In the end, I managed to raise the $500,000. I even considered selling our house to make sure she could get the treatment she needed. But now, she used the money I scraped together to buy Makoto a car. I felt like I was trapped in an icy cold cellar. Willow wore a red strapless top and black stockings, stepping into Makoto's car with high heels, swaying seductively. When we went on dates, Willow would never dress like this. Sometimes she wouldn't even wear makeup, saying it was to save me money. At the time, I believed her, thinking she was a rare and wonderful wife, but now, reality slapped me in the face. After getting into the car, the vehicle didn't drive off immediately. It stayed still for quite a while. Through the car window, I saw Willow and Makoto kissing. Her red lips were swollen and bruised, and her eyes were glazed with desire. The sight made me choke with pain. She was doing this right downstairs from her office with Makoto. Did she think I was a fool? Although there was no longer any doubt about Willow's infidelity, seeing this still caused me pain. It wasn't because I was heartbroken over her cheating, but because I felt I wasn't worth this betrayal. I pulled out my phone and recorded the scene. All these years I worked so hard, earning money for this little family. I once thought marrying Willow was the happiest thing in my life, but I never imagined reality would strike me so hard. The car slowly drove off. I quickly stepped on the gas and followed it. After a long drive, the Audi finally stopped in front of a restaurant. Willow was sitting across from a man, laughing and chatting, the atmosphere light and friendly. This was the first time I'd seen Makoto in all this time. He looked just the same as before. It was as if time hadn't left a mark on him. Looking at myself, all these years of working tirelessly for the family had worn away my sharp edges. I had become like a skeleton, drained of life by the demands of family, completely losing the once ambitious and spirited version of myself. Makoto wore a well-tailored white shirt. His hair was meticulously styled, giving off a fashionable yet effortless vibe. In contrast, my clothes seemed so casual and disheveled. It felt as if I had completely lost my love and pursuit of life. I went to court and filed for a divorce. I presented all the evidence of her cheating, and the judge ruled in my favor. The house stayed with me, and Willow had to return the $500,000 she had spent on Makoto's car. Soon after, Willow and Makoto got married, but their happiness was short-lived. A few weeks later, Willow discovered that her cancer had progressed to the terminal stage. The hospital bills were piling up, and Makoto, who had only been with her for her money, started to show his true colors. Willow's condition deteriorated rapidly, and Makoto stopped visiting her in the hospital. One day, I received a video call from Willow. Her head was completely shaved, and she was lying in a hospital bed with a breathing tube attached to her nose. She had become alarmingly thin and was almost unrecognizable. She begged me to help Makoto, saying his business was failing without my contract. I coldly replied, "Yes, I canceled it. So what?" Willow's anger flared, but she kept her fury in check as best as she could. She continued, "George, why are you doing this? Do you have any idea how much you've hurt me?" I scoffed and coldly retorted, "Hurt you? Do you think I'm the one who's suffering? You showed me no mercy back then." Willow went silent for a moment. Then, in an almost pleading tone, she said, "George, I know I made mistakes before, but now, look at me. Can't you help me just this once, for the sake of our past?" Looking at Willow now, I found the whole situation oddly amusing. She never came to me when she was sick. Now, in her current state, she wasn't asking me for help either. Yet it was Makoto's company that had its contract canceled, and now, here she was, begging me. I chuckled and said, "I didn't plan on destroying you, but since he's asking for it, don't blame me. I'll make sure to deal with that guy." A few days later, Makoto, in a desperate bid for money, tried to blackmail me. He took Willow to a bridge and threatened to push her into the river if I didn't give him $1 million. I recorded the entire conversation and called the police. Makoto was arrested for attempted murder and extortion. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. I've since moved on with my life. I met a woman named Anna, who is everything Willow wasn't: kind, loving, and genuine. We're getting married next week. As for Willow, I heard she's still fighting her battle with cancer, alone in the hospital. Sometimes I wonder if things could have been different. But then I remember the pain she caused me, and I know that some bridges, once burned, can never be rebuilt. Life has a way of balancing itself. Willow spent the money that was meant to save her life on a man who ultimately abandoned her. And now, as I look forward to a new beginning with Anna, I can't help but feel that justice, in its own twisted way, has been served. Willow is fighting cancer alone, not because I abandoned her, but because she chose a path that led her there. And as harsh as it sounds, I've made peace with the fact that her choices, not mine, determined her fate.